want to talk about the idea of music as something cosmic, something religious, as one of four approaches to music. I'm in Newcastle, England right now. We're back on tour. I can't believe I didn't think to do a video when we were at Stonehenge. That would be so cute to have a Stonehenge background. This is a Newcastle background. I wrote a bit about this in a post, I think, or maybe I didn't post it yet. Kind of spacing, but there's four. Basically, I associate the aesthetic aspect of music with the cosmic sound current. In Vedic religion, there's an idea of Naada or Naada yoga, and basically the idea is that you can use sound, you can do sound meditations, sound practices that they give you sort of sonic experiences that I guess they're not actually, they do not put you in contact with the cosmic sound current, but they resemble it. So it's actually a representation of the cosmic sound current, but there's a cosmic sound current, and that is sort of the creative principle of the world, and so Naada yoga is a technique for having an insight about that, or sort of experiencing it. And I think of that generally in terms of waves and energy. So essentially, that to be more specific, that just intonation, listening to sound that is sort of in its purest form, with frequencies, rather than using Western pitches, that there's something about that way of making music that really does have that effect. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And in Indian classical music and in Islamic Qawwali music, these kind of microtonal intervals are really made use of, and of course they would be, because those are areas of the world where classical music didn't develop in the Western sense, and it kind of had a resurgence in like modern music with West Coast minimalism. So East Coast minimalism was really different. I'm talking about the minimalist classical tradition that began in the 60s, more or less. And in West Coast minimalism, there was this kind of fetish around using just intonation and basically taking classical instruments and like the piano and tuning it so that it would produce the natural tones of the harmonic series. So what do I mean by that? For those who don't know, okay, maybe I should step back actually. So we can hear pitches. So sound is pressure waves that are similar in a lot of ways to light waves, except that light waves don't need a medium to travel through, like the sun. The sun can radiate light even without medium, and sound is also waves, so they have wavelengths and amplitudes and frequencies, but they pass through a medium, and we mostly encounter sound, obviously, as it passes through air. We are in the atmosphere, and there is oxygen and carbon dioxide in the air, and that's how we hear sound. And sound reaches our ears, which are tuned to receive only a part of the frequency range that is out there. So, as is well known, it's 20,000 hertz is kind of around the highest. 20,000, between 20,000 and 40,000 is the highest, and between 20 and 40 at the lowest is where sort of, you know, like 20 hertz, you can tell that a sound is being played, but you can't really identify a pitch. And 40 is more or less a very low E that you can pretty much hear. And that corresponds to the amount of, the amount of milliseconds where below that you can hear discrete sound events, and above that you start hearing tones. And the burst speed has a lot to do with that threshold, which I'll talk more about in some other video. But it goes up so much because everything is about doubling. So the range of pitches that we hear increases in a linear way as the frequency range, as the frequencies increase exponentially. So it's like if 40 is a low E, then if you double that and get to 80, we recognize that as the same pitch as the low E, but as like a higher version of it. And mathematically, that's kind of because it's doubled, I guess. But there's more to it, because our experiences of pitches, I don't think we really understand why we experience pitch phenomenologically. Like, it's not, perhaps there's some explanation of evolution, but it's not explained by the mathematics of sound. And then you double it again. I think you double it again, the 160, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that sounds like another octave to us. But then it starts getting detached. Like if you double it again, that actually sounds like a fifth above that octave that we had just been on. And then from there, the intervals and it's a perfect fifth. So the fifth and the octave are the same whether you're using just intonation or equal temperament tuning. But then after that, things diverge, and you get a major third. Right, a major third is also a perfect interval. No, it's not. But it's pretty close. It sounds pretty similar. I don't know if I can easily tell the difference between a natural major third and an equal temperament major third. But then you start getting pitches that, especially the seventh. It's the seventh and then the second or the ninth that, the natural version sounds so cosmic. A natural major seventh it's flat. It's really flat. It's between major and minor. I just love the sound of natural major seventh. I've sort of trying to the introduction to Reannihilation, our first record, is me singing the overtone series, sort of loosely. And yeah, it's got that flat 7, and then the ninth, which is a second, is very sharp. It's like way more open. And then the fourth, there's like this like augmented fourth that is, in Western music, the augmented fourth is the most dissonant possible interval, and that's why it's so powerful when Black Sabbath use it in the first track of their first record. It's called the Diabolus in Musica. It's supposed to be a satanic sound, and it's kind of like, within the context of equal temperament tuning, it's really, really dissonant. And so, metal in so many ways represents the return of the repressed of classical music. So it's like classical music, you need to know what the tonal system is to really understand what I'm saying, but classical music kind of renounces aspects of nature in order to be able to have different keys that are all the same and to travel between them. But then, what you get by kind of tightening and systematizing more is that then there's this like return of the repressed, which is dissonance. Anyway, I'll talk about that more in the next videos. Anyway, the natural fourth, augmented fourth, it's just so great. And I think that the normal fourth, like a supposedly perfect fourth, is like the overtone series is very slow to produce one of those. It's like way high up. Anyway, I think this is one really significant dimension of music. It's not the only one, it's like I'm pretty deep into minimalism and the scene of music around minimalism, and there are people who are like, they're almost like woke schools or something about equal temperament tuning, about equal temperament tuning and about just intonation being better, and like that equal temperament is bad and it's all about domination and whatever. I don't see that at all. I think that just intonation is wonderful as one of 4 dimensions of what music is. And I think that part of what is so powerful about it is that it really does exactly what you might think. Like it just kind of puts you in touch with vibes, like the universe is vibes, it's vibrating energy, vibrating matter, and there are these waves that are just sort of cascading everywhere, and they're the main source of the energy that we rely on, and it kind of feeds us, but it can also easily destroy us and so forth. It's very, very sublime. And music that is tuned in this way, really, for me, it just puts me in touch with that. I really feel just more aware of the vibrational underpinning of civilization, and it really does kind of feel like contact with God. So there's a thought about the Naada, the cosmic sound current,